Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 28 of Confessions of a Market Maker. I'm your co-host, Ray, aka All Day Ray, aka the Opening Range God. And I'm joined here by my clairvoyant co-host, former market maker of 20 years, and now present-day trading educator. A man who's been rumored to have been acquaintances with May Musk, Elon's mother. You know, she's from Regina. I'm just saying. A man who in his own right has done enough box deals to rival the likes of FedEx. I'm talking about Saskatchewan's most eligible bachelor, JJ. JJ, how's it going?
Good, Ray. I think you finally outdone yourself. Jeez.
You know, it's moving on. Our guest today is a pro trader and self-proclaimed expert bottom catcher, a recluse who first creates her extravagant charts on parchment with a peacock feathered pen. Making her first media debut, highly popular on Twitter, I'm talking about Julia Cordova. Julia, thanks for joining us. How's it going?
Hi, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on here.
Yes. It's a pleasure to have you on. Been trying to get you on for a little bit, so it's great you agreed.
I play hard to get. I'm sorry.
Hey,
It's okay.
The game's
we can work.
Not told. Exactly.
You know, we don't mind working.
Well, Julia, I wasn't kidding when I was mentioning your popularity on Twitter. You know, I saw your tweet about, coming on the podcast. And of course, I made the mistake of clicking on the comments. And, seemed to be a few lonely, maybe low socially intelligent men. And, I think to myself, right, there's no way these guys are successful traders. You know how I know this?
How?
They're not thinking strategically, right? They really think a one-liner over the internet is going to work. Like, these got to be the same people who, go chase price. What are your thoughts on these people?
Well, I mean, we're all just having fun, right? I mean, that's really what Twitter is to me. It's like entertainment.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I don't mind, and it's fine. Like, everybody should just have fun when they're trading. It's hard, it's lonely too.
True.
Yeah. And I do plan on asking you about that, but no, it just seems to me, Julia, it's like if someone does think you're, attractive or they would like to date you, it's like, I'm like, come on, man, there's better ways to go about this. Like, you can't be a good trader. You're not even thinking smart. Like, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, guys.
No, it doesn't usually work.
It doesn't usually work.
Okay. That's all I wanted to say. So,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Boy.
Julia.
It's like if you buy something that looks really good, it's not what you think, It's not the obvious things that you say and do don't work for your advantage usually.
Right. So guys, think strategically. It's like, because I feel like it's a way of life, not to get too much on a tangent, right? But it's like, I think everything in a strategical manner,
Indeed you do.
Yeah.
I mean, anyways. Okay. So Julia, you worked in, the corporate world first. So, just tell us about your experience in there and then how you transitioned into trading.
Sure. Well, at first I was a coder, a programmer, and I was really terrible at that. And then I realized how much money the salespeople were making, and they were not very bright. So I went into that, and I loved my job actually, because I got to meet a lot of super smart people and sell to them and make their companies a lot of money. And I really enjoyed it, but it was a lot of travel. I was on a plane probably 4 days a week, and or just away from home.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I was okay with that, but I wanted to really find something to do that allowed me to stay home and have more of a home base and be able to take care of my family, my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And so trading obviously fits that, but how did you stumble upon it?
Well, because I just bought things that I liked for my 401k. I was pretty active in that, and it was it was doing really, really well. And I wanted to try to leverage that to make more money so that, I didn't have to work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I just saw how well my 401k was doing. And, also trading looks extremely glamorous, when you watch the movie
Yeah,
and
sure. Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, I'm going to have an Aston Martin and I'm going to you know, it just looks extremely glamorous. It sounds glamorous when you tell people that you do it. Well, I don't feel like it does now, because usually when I tell people I do it, I'm like in sweats and like my hair is broken. But it does sound, it sounds glamorous, and that's actually, I think, how I lost money at first, is because I just thought it was so easy. And
Right.
usually I don't know if it's like a rule of nature, but usually whoever starts trading, the first couple trades you make a lot of money. You're like, this is easy. I don't know what people are talking about. It's like winning at the blackjack table right away, and then it's just terrible. So but that's what, that's what happened.
So I've heard of that. That was the complete opposite for me.
Really?
I came out of institutional trading, started retail trading, and just couldn't trade my way out of a wet paper bag when I didn't have control. So it was completely the opposite. Yeah.
So you probably knew more about it. That's why. Maybe I did. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just not in control of the market. That's what I used to do, and now I'm on the other side trying to figure out what's going on. So that was
So Julia, so how did you quit your job first? Did you still have your job and then you were trading on the side? Like kind of talk about that, because I think that would be very like relevant to, the audience and the listeners.
Well, I was really lucky in my past careers. Two of my companies, I think I was the 21st employee of one of the companies, and then we sold it for like 625 million. And then the other company I was part of, I was also one of the first employees, and it got sold for a bunch more than that. So I did not have a job when I decided to trade. Was sort of, well, actually that's not even true. So that second company that was sold for a lot, I went to work for another company after that, and the people there were just a-holes. Like, I don't know if
That's fine.
I'm trying to be I'm trying to be good. They were just they were just mean jerks, and they were just mean to each other, and they judged success based on your aggressiveness, I thought, and not based on your ability to move everyone forward. So and I am aggressive, I can be aggressive, but I just don't like that. So anyway, I just hated that job very much, so I quit that job. And then I had my own little company for a while, and while I was having my own little company and not making money, I started to trade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. How was the the beginning of your journey, and obviously having to deal with losing money, just talk about that, and then maybe how long did it take until you did become profitable, you did become consistent?
Sure. Yeah, so when I first started to trade, I'd be in a losing trade, and my strategy to get out of it was just to keep doubling down at what I thought was support, and that was terrible, because if you've seen the charts that just keep going down, that's what I did. Every time it went down, I just double down until eventually I was like all in, something really horrible.
Wow.
And then lost a bunch of money that way. And then, and of course, like, I joke about being a bottom catcher. I'm totally a bottom catcher, but the reason I think I'm good at that now is because I just think about when I would have stopped out before, like when I would have been like, okay, this is any kind of long stop out zone. That's where I know now to buy. I just try to do the exact opposite of what my instincts are.
Got it.
And that tends to work for me. I really, it's like they studied my brain when they were figuring out how to take money from people. Like, I feel like I was one of those stuff, It's true. It's true. And so, and you know what too? As I was trading and started journaling, I'm like, gosh, I should just do the exact opposite. And it was kind of a joke. And then I was like, no, really, I should. Like, I had to really step aside, put my ego all out of everything, and just be like, I am a terrible trader, so I'm going to do the exact opposite of what I feel is the right thing to do. And then I started making money. Like, it's just embarrassing to admit that now I just automatically do the opposite of what I think. Like, but it's terrible to think about, like, how I am so like everything about my psyche is how they take money from people.
Yeah. I mean, to jump in now, you're an engineer by training, right?
Yes.
So now that must have been tough for you to admit that, because engineers are pretty darn sharp. So, and to actually graduate from engineering, I have about 10 friends who have. So, was that a hard thing for your? I mean,
yeah, it was really hard. And
yeah.
I mean, I tried a bunch of things. Like, I tried all of these different indicators. I tried to be really sophisticated, and I tried to have, I don't even know, there were more than 8 indicators I was looking at any one time. And I tried to have a thing where 6 of them said this and the other 2, then I would do X, Y, Z. And I was tracking that, and I was trying to have my own little algo thing going on. And it just was hard, and it was terrible. And I couldn't believe how easy it just seemed for other people. So I tried all of those things. And I mean, like a decision tree process, I went through and but I just couldn't. And it took me about 2 years, I think, before I stopped bleeding money. And then, and I mean, I'm just being, I know it sounds terrible, and maybe other people are more successful, but I feel like because I have made so many mistakes, that I just know what not to do. I mean, it's not like I still don't make them and still don't do some things I know are bad, but I feel like I'm the queen of failure, and that's really how I am able to be successful now. It's just because I monitored how I failed. But it was just interesting, because I keep coming up with new ways to fail. Like, wow, how many different ways to fail can there be? Let me just find all of the ways. And so it took a long time, and then I was able to support myself in the next year or so. And that's hard, because I like stuff. I like expensive things. So it took a while to get there.
Got it.
Yeah, that's another thing these Twitter bozos need to keep in mind. She has expensive taste too, right?
Yeah.
So Julia, you think having not having a job, and like, I assume you just really immersed yourself into trading, probably consumed up a lot of your time. What advice maybe would you give to someone who does have a job? They don't have the luxury that you did have of, not having a job.
Yeah, no, I know, because that was a luxury. Well, I mean, in a way, you're sort of lucky, I think, if you still have a job, because you don't have the stress of, like,
true.
I kept trying to meet. I have both trading plans, and I have like different account plans, and so I had all these revenue goals that I was trying to make, and I just couldn't make them ever. And I think if the money wasn't so important to me that I didn't feel I must win next trade, I probably would have been profitable sooner, to be frank with you. And also, I wouldn't have been as obsessed at trying different things. I mean, I think the answer is actually in simplicity, but nobody wants to hear it because it's really boring, and because you kind of want your own system, you want this, like, if this thing happens. And then, I mean, somebody asked me a trader sent me a message saying, just give me something simple. Just tell me something simple I can do to make money. And I said, okay, if you're looking at the 20-day moving average, buy when it gets above it, and then sell when it gets below it.
Yeah.
And the guy blocked me. I'm like,
really?
That was the best advice. What are you, man? You are just like, it's not hard. And I said, just wait till a trend starts. If it's like one of these things that is just like consolidating, then you're going to lose money every time. But just wait till, like, if you have a nice little wavy chart, it's so easy to do that. You're not going to catch the bottom tick. You're not going to catch the top tick, but you will make money. You will. You can back test that 1,000%. But nobody starting out ever wants to. They don't want that. They want to be the glamorous bottom catcher. You can't do that until you fail. You got to fail hard to be good at bottom catching. And
Definitely.
Yeah. But I really, it's that simple. Like, there are such simple training strategies that work, and nobody wants to hear it because it's boring and it's repetitive, but that is how you make money.
Very true.
How you can.
No, it's funny you say that, Julia. I was talking about this the past couple of days, and JJ can attest to this. Like, in our room, JJ's been saying this for months. There's no real sellers. There's no sellers. There's no sellers. And so I'm like, people was like, oh, it's so hard to buy up here. It's so hard to go long up here. But we know this fact. There's no sellers. So don't make this overcomplicated. There's no sellers. Go long.
Yeah. No, like, Yeah, I won't, because I'm a stubborn jerk, and I could probably make a lot of money if I did. But yes, that is.
But you get what I'm saying. It's just not overcomplicating things. And like you said, I agree 100% with your take there. So.
I know. I was monitoring Twitter today for bear sarcasm, because me included, like, everybody's just like, this happens bullish. It's when the bears get really quiet and they're not sarcastic anymore that I think the market will probably go down, but it's still too much fun to make.
So Julia,
I journal the weirdest things, but I do that.
That's interesting. What else? What other quirky journal entries?
I think I can chart traders better than I can chart equities. I know this, as a matter of fact. Like I can tell whether somebody's trade is going to work based on their past trades, and if I've been monitoring them. I shouldn't tell you this because I don't want people doing it to me, but this is like, I mean, it is. No, it's true, and I really appreciate this. But if people are kind enough to post potential trade on Twitter, and you can sort of watch them for a while, I can read them, in fact, better than I can read the market. So then I will factor all of that into whatever decisions that I'm making as well. I call it my sentiment, like, bin. But yeah, no, there are certain people that I follow that are awesome, and there are others that are not. And I sometimes, like, even myself, I can even tell myself when something's not going to work, because I'm like, I've just gotten 5 of these in a row. I don't know, the next one's going to be terrible. But like I don't know, I can just tell. So I journal not only my own stuff, but other people's stuff, and I monitor analysts too to see whether or not they're accurate. And I have my own little metadata thing going on here.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow.
Is it?
Yeah. Well,
it is.
I hope I didn't freak anybody out.
No, not at all. I mean,
why would data freak anyone out?
No, it's interesting how, I like different people's intricacies and how they trade. And you're coming across as, you're not coming across as crazy. You're intelligent. You're highly respected. So just hearing that from you is, Julia. Okay. So maybe kind of just give us a general view of kind of like your trading methodology and, your system that you employ.
Sure. Well, a lot of it is, okay, I'm obviously very science oriented, but some of it is arty. But I'll talk about the sciencey stuff. So if I am buying something, if I am trying to catch a trend change, then I know it's riskier than if I'm just sort of, catching a dip or in something bullish or whatever. So if I'm trying to catch a trend change, I will generally scale in, and I will generally go 1/3 where I think the bottom is, and I have a spreadsheet that allows me to tell where my stops are depending on how scaled in I am. Okay. And so I will, because I'll know all of that risk and everything ahead of time. And that is another thing that was super important to me. It's really not that hard to do the math and figure out, like, if something goes down X amount, then I will sell it. And as long as you stay with the whatever parameters or rules you've set, you're fine. But anyway, so I will scale in generally at wherever I think the bottom is, and I'll leave myself usually. I'll leave myself 2 scales that I might go in if it gets to this other point. And so generally, if something is going down and I'm catching it, I go 1/3 and then I wait. And if it goes down again, I go another third, and then I save usually the last third for a back test after it's gone back up over the initial. So that's generally, I scale both in and I scale out. And actually it is the hardest thing for me to do, though, is adding the last scale, because for the longest time, whenever I would add the last scale, that was like the end of the little uptrend, and then it was way down. So I would always lose on the 3rd scale. But now I've learned to try and do it only on a back test of where I think resistance is.
Oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. In my crazy alien language, that'd probably be an inventory correction. Okay. So just, I never learned any of the retail stuff, the terminology when I came into this. I just kind of fell into volume profile. So I always try and translate what.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Interesting.
And do you scale in and out too? Because I scale out too, but scaling out is a lot easier than scaling in.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, it's actually more fun to buy things than it is to sell them. I love buying things, but it's harder.
Oh yeah, see, I'm the opposite, and I love selling.
Really? I love buying things. I'm like, oh, I'm getting in a trade. I'm buying.
Oh, I look at these markets with all this buying, and I just wish I had 200 million shares of something to sell into all this buying.
Yeah. It's fun to buy, but when you sell, like I get like seller's remorse, where I shouldn't have sold it so soon. It's going to go up, or I stress out when I sell. So I scale out too. I scale.
Okay.
I automatically take, depending on how risky it is, I automatically take 3 to 5% off of the table. And then I'll have the second scale out at a resistance, and I'll have the third scale out. Usually I will let the third scale go to 0, because I'm so used to losing on the third scale anyway, because a lot of times it doesn't, and it goes like majorly up. But I call it my FOMO scale, so that I'm still invested in something, even if like I would have normally already sold it. And that's the only way I can really hold true winners for long periods of time, is if I just zen myself. I've already made money on the trade. I don't care now if it goes to 0. If it goes to break even, it goes to break even. And if it doesn't, then I look really good. Like, I look like I know what I'm doing, even though I forced myself to do it. That's what I mean. And oh my gosh, if I have to sell the last scale and I'm like 100% or something, I really don't want to do it. I really don't. I have to force myself. It's so sad. Those days are so sad. Yeah.
So Julia, speak on the, balancing, the science of trading with the art.
Well, that is very hard, because I would like to tell you that I would always know I would be scaling. Sometimes I just go full on, like I buy everything at once, and that is usually when I think it looks so. It has to be beyond where I think it looks bad, where everybody else thinks it looks bad also. It has to be when I'm tweeting something and it's really not getting a lot of likes, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, people are all done with me on this one. No, it's true though. I chart that too. I shouldn't say any of this, because I don't want y'all to get weird, but like if I can just tell. If I remember with gold way back when, in fact, kind of a guy who has a lot of followers. I think he had 20,000, and I had like 400. And I was doing JNUG every day, and he actually trolled me on it, and he retweeted my tweet, because I said, why can't JNUG just be great? Because I had just talked about something I call a reversal flag that it broke out of, and it broke out of that, but then it came back and it tested it, and I'm like, why can't it just be great? And he's like, don't even bother with it. It's stuck in 2016 levels. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think this actually might be the breakout. Like, just because he did that, I'm like, this guy this guy has ego and he's really invested in gold not going anywhere. And I think it's time. So I think actually that's when I probably got a lot of followers, when I posted my gold trades.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
No,
But
it's
yeah,
really. Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
I got nothing. I was just going to talk.
Okay. No. If you had more to
Yeah.
say on the topic, go ahead. But I was going to another thing you said that got my mind going. You said you always set goals, or at least in the beginning, you would set goals and you weren't meeting them. Do you think setting goals, for yourself is, detrimental to your trading?
Well, I think at first it can be really depressing because if you have a goal of making 20% a month or something, right? And then you have to figure out how much compounded that would be per day, and then you have to. It just puts a lot of stress on it initially, at least before you have any kind of track record. So I don't think it's necessarily detrimental, but it can mess with your brain. And a lot of times, in fact, at some point when I was trying to teach myself how to trade, I stopped looking at price, and I traded solely based on RSI. Like I would draw trend lines in RSI, and I would actually that's RSI and volume. And I kind of considered that my Jedi Knight training, where I was like blindfolded, but I was trying to figure out what was going on. And so for that period of time, I wasn't necessarily set on making goals. I was set on following rules. And so if you make it so that instead of trying to get a certain, especially if you're just starting out, you're not making any money. If you just set your goals based off of following rules, you're going to trade smaller, you're going to trade less desperate, and you're going to trade better, because you're going to have that Jedi sense about you. And even if you lose money or you aren't successful just trading off of the rules, then hey, that's great, because now you know what rules don't work. So now you've got to adjust something. But also the worst thing you can do is like trash everything and start over again, because then you're never learning anything. So it's almost like you have to say to yourself, if this doesn't work, then this is the thing that I will adjust. And you have to know almost ahead of time what you will adjust if that doesn't work. So really, instead of a revenue goal at first, I would set simply if I set these trading rules, I will follow these rules. And if I follow these rules, I will be successful and I will give myself an A+. And if you have a small account you can do that with while you're learning, that's great, because you are essentially learning how to swim in cold shark infested waters.
Mm-hmm.
And you can then take that and wow, when you're given an actual swimming pool and like, pool boys, and like you'll be able to really, then you're like golden. Then you're like on a float. You're like getting room service. Like it's
those
good.
little drinks with umbrellas.
So if I had to do it again, I wouldn't have set revenue goals necessarily. I would have just set goals based off of me following rules and me knowing ahead of time, like what I was going to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
So learning to trade well.
Yeah. I've always been in that camp of worrying about or focusing on the process and not the results. Because like setting goals for myself, like I asked you that question kind of like personal for me, because me setting stuff, it messes my mind up, because if I don't hit it, then I start pressing, over trading.
Definitely.
And I just compound, I just make mistake after mistake after mistake. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, can I just say one of my flaws is, and I mean, I try to understand my flaws and use them to my advantage. And really, I am definitely like, I am bearish, and I have been bearish for a while during this. You guys like, see, it's good to talk to you, because you're right. There are no sellers, but I have been bearish, and so rather than continuing to beat my head against a wall that is just stupid, like I just won't trade it until I'll trade other things. There's so many opportunities. I can trade other things so much better because I am biased, and I can't be not biased. I wish I could, I wish I could not be biased, but I'm so biased. So I just try to trade in the direction I think the things that I am most confident in are going. And I could be wrong, but I'm not wrong, but I could be wrong. And that's just what I do. And that way I don't get like like, because before,
Yes.
if I were just starting out, I would have kept doubling down on my bear bets. I mean, I
Oof.
know I would have. I've been like, coronavirus, well, that's bearish, like, you know.
You
And
know,
I mean, I'm not dumb. We're not dumb when we're looking at this,
no,
but like,
no.
nothing ever works out the way that you want it to. And that's the other thing. Like, if I see a bunch of articles saying that oil is going to go to 20 or whatever, I get all excited. I'm like, oh, it's going to go to 100, because it's just true. Like, it's not even just you can't trade with news. It's usually the exact opposite of news, at least for a while, and then it'll start going normally.
Yeah. See, it's fascinating to hear you speak, because you are a pure retail trader. You completely have done all of this on your own.
Yeah, and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. That's why I was so like, I don't. I mean, I know, but
no,
yeah, I don't feel like I know.
yeah, I love hearing this perspective, because I come from the other side. So I had no knowledge of how and that's why I'm always fascinated and quite impressed by how hard retail traders work. It is an insane amount of work. I mean, you're using all the analytical skills you learned as an engineer, plus,
Mm-hmm.
it's quite fascinating. Uh, Do you are you one that looks at, do you trade individual stocks as well, or is it just commodities mostly right now? Or
I do trade individual stock. I don't talk about them a lot on Twitter because I don't want to be like a stock pumper. You know
got
what I
it?
mean? Like, don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I wouldn't want to use it to my advantage. I wouldn't want to feel guilty about that kind of thing.
Yes.
I am biased in some ways
Okay.
with some of the equities that I trade, and yeah. So I don't talk about it a lot on Twitter, but yeah, I do trade um, equities as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I posted a joke today and nobody thought it was funny. I thought it was so funny. Like, I did an Energizer chart, right, for
Oh,
Valentine's.
oh yeah. It was.
I thought it was like
Sorry, I didn't like it,
funny.
Julia. I thought it was
I
funny.
no, you know what? I was so proud of myself. I was like, I thought of that in
I
the
didn't get a
car. I was
chance
like,
to see.
oh,
Oh,
it's just stupid. But I mean, I nobody ever. And then people are like, it's not bullish. I'm like, it was a joke. It was a joke. I know it's not. I was saying that there's divergence. That was like a joke. But I don't know. So that's why I'm like, I'm already having trouble communicating what I'm thinking. So I just don't want to. Yeah, I don't
now,
know. I don't
now,
know.
now your charts are worthy of something that hangs in a museum of
In the
modern art.
Guggenheim.
You definitely Guggenheim quality charts. Now,
You're making fun of me, I
I
think.
am no, I
That's
am not.
okay.
I am impressed because, listen, when I look at a chart, I look at, okay, this is where we suck them in, this is where we hammer them. So I don't look at it this way. So I'm fascinated how retail traders, construct these charts and how they keep it all straight. Um, because I'm just a dumb I'm just a dumb bid hitter. I'm not, so the level of sophistication is what I'm not making fun at all. I'm quite
I know. I know. A little bit. They're terrible. I mean, some of them look terrible. I know they look terrible. I can look at them and they're like, oh, that's really bad. I don't care. I'm posting it anyway because I'm using it. Like, it's just because it works. I mean,
no. Now, are these all sort of moving averages or trend support lines that you have on here? Or?
um, well, I put moving averages on there because they are handy dandy and they
Okay.
are so simple and they generally work. But the lines I draw, it's not a secret. I draw channels. I try to find slopes that are reusable and therefore are respected by whatever algos are trading, because
Oh,
that's really okay. So that's how I think of this. I think of this as like chess against a computer.
Mm.
And
oh,
so in
okay.
order to play chess against a computer, you don't know anything about their psyche, right? You just
Oh,
know how they're going to react to different things. And
ah,
so the reason that I do channels is because I know that computer programs are programmed to, or algos or whatever, are programmed to react to the lines that I draw. So that's why there's so many lines, and also because I'm a line hoarder, I don't like to delete any lines because I think they're very valuable. But they do. So these
yes. No,
algos
no.
Yeah, just in my experience, I don't know what I'm doing, but I feel like the algos react to gaps, the algos react to the slopes of certain lines that I draw.
Okay.
So I will take a line, I will move it all around before I put it down where I want it, and just to make sure that it works and it's reusable. And I also um, do lines with an RSI, and I see how when one thing, I just make sure they line up with each other, and so they're not necessarily, I mean, it's not normal, I would say, but I mean, I'm not the only one who does it. I've seen other people do it, and I just try to pick lines that algos react to, and that also react. And yeah, that's it.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Solid. So, Julia, we got a question from someone on Twitter. And this pertaining to, the trading topic, your trading style. So it's from Mark McLovin. He says,
I
I
like
guess
him
it's,
so much.
he
He's
seems
such a
like
good guy.
He is.
he does. I like it's a two-part question. I like the first part of it. He goes, do people troll you because they are inferior human beings or just human beings?
No, nobody is inferior to anybody else. I think sometimes people are afraid of what they don't understand. I mean,
Right.
I think a couple, maybe a furu or two has made fun of me, but they can make fun of me all they want, because what's important is that I make money, and it's also important that if somebody else finds me helpful, or if they find me funny and they just get entertained. I have people that follow me that don't even trade stocks. They just think whatever language I'm speaking is really interesting. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no, I don't mind if they troll me. I think they're just, the reality is, I mean, what they're saying too, whether they're using candlesticks or whether they're using some other method, I don't have anything against their method. If their method works, that's great. But I think sometimes people put other people down because it makes them feel somehow superior to them.
Yeah, it's
And
pathetic. Yeah.
just like other people that make fun of me are not inferior, the people who make fun of me are well, not,
Mm-hmm.
they're just not superior either. They're just, everybody's themselves. And I was always very annoyed too when I was learning to trade that people would just say, just do your own thing. I'm like, oh my God, if I knew how to do my own thing, I wouldn't need you to tell me that. Like, just freaking give me something that works, like, but it's good for people to be able to see that there is all sorts of different, like, I do call myself bottom catcher master of the universe because I'm really good at it. And that's okay for me to say, and it's not normal, and but it's fine, and it works for me, and that doesn't work for other people, and I'm sure there's other smarter, better ways to do it, but it's good for people to, just like all the cars, if they were painted black and white, would be very, very boring.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to have like hot pink in there somewhere, like
Definitely.
fire on the side, like whatever.
I love the ambulance.
Yeah, well, that's, because then if you think about it, you're like, wow, if it goes, because I'll tell you psychologically, if it does go that low, I'm like, oh, it's going to go. And that is also the time where you start to see all these people on Twitter saying it's going to zero, like, or, they'll say really low things, and you start to get affected by that in your mind. You're like, oh my gosh, they're probably right. Like, but if I see the ambulance there, I'm like, nope, that's like, that could go to the hospital. It could go to the hospital. It could be a really good opportunity. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Great.
Julia, listen, I don't like these furus neither. So if anyone, talking some shit to you, like, let me know. You know what I'm saying?
Some
Like,
of them are really mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like these. I don't like these clowns. I don't like them one bit.
Yeah. Well, the guy who told me not to chart gold anymore blocked me after, because he trolled me on something else, and I put a screenshot of the thing up there that said not to mess with gold. I'm like, you really want to take me on? I'm going to get you. Yeah. Well, I don't. I mean, only because I have all the receipts. Like, they can
all the
talk
receipts.
about their little. Well, it's true. They can talk about their little systems working, and the fact they want to charge people a bunch of money. Or they can look at people who are consistent, maybe a little weird, but consistent, and that make money. So no, yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so second part of this Twitter question from McLovin. He said, so he's like, all right, this is a serious one. He says, how much time is devoted when the markets are closed?
He knows that because like I'll get all sorts of questions. Knows. It's really all the time. Like not all the time, but I mean, I'm a little bit of an addict. I have a hard time defocusing. So I'm always thinking about something that I can do or an idea or, a really good trader sent me a message yesterday asking me or sharing an idea with me. And then I had an idea that these two things are correlated with each other. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to overlay them and I'm going to figure out, whether or not we can get some intelligence on this. So, yeah, I feel like I'm always thinking about it, but it's not like hard because it's not at this time, because you start enjoying things when you get better at them. Now it's like fun when I think about, I mean, it used to be hard and now it's like fun to think about things that are ideas. So yeah, I take Saturdays off though, usually, because if I don't, then like I don't really have much of a life if I don't do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. All right, so now me and JJ like to take this time to give a shout out to our podcast official sponsor, Traders Creed, the best collection of stock market t-shirts, apparel, and gifts out there, perfect for traders. At tradercreed.com, they provide quality products that are ethically sourced and incorporate humor and wit into each design. Imagine your favorite stock saying or impression on a nice shirt, mug, or bag. Julia, I told them they should put some pictures of your charts on some shirts.
I think so.
Might
Definitely.
be a good
I would
look.
wear it. I would model it. That would be hot.
That's
All right.
good.
I'm gonna talk to them. We're gonna get on it.
I sense a deal brewing.
Yes. So check out the many designs. Again, that's at Trader.
Oh, you don't mean mini skirts. You mean like mini designs. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, t-shirts. This is everything's PG.
I thought you said mini.
No, I don't know. I don't know what I even said anymore.
Oh, wait, I think mini like MANY. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, many. Yes, many designs at Trader.
Many designs. Everything's PG-13.
Wearing mini skirts.
But maybe.
I don't know. We're not. That's that. You don't want to see that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Julia, you did a Beyond the Trades interview, which I know a lot of people enjoyed. There's a few of them I would want you to kind of elaborate a little bit on more for me, if you don't mind. Yeah. And so the question was, what makes a successful trader? You answered consistent, persistent, someone who can learn from their mistakes. You also have to be either a little cuckoo or a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so explain that. The last part.
Well, I mean, when you are used to being right, and when you're used to things making sense, and when you're used to just, I mean, math is so nice because it's always like you're always correct by whatever many digits or whatever, or you're wrong, but whatever, you have a black and white. And trading is not black and white. There are no certainties. And so for me, being out of certainties is uncomfortable, and it requires a little bit of cuckoo. It requires like a little bit of like art. Mm-hmm. And you have to sort of just sometimes feel things. And yeah, that's what I meant by that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no,
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and robots do very well. Like I said, I'm so not good. Like if I get in my mind that something should be bearish, but it's not bearish, rather than just fight myself, I just won't trade it. I just won't trade it.
Wow.
Well, yeah, because there's other things to trade and things that I'm more certain about, and things that I don't have like a fundamental like stubbornness about.
Bias. Wow, that's an interesting way to deal with bias. I haven't heard that one before.
Really, just don't do it.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good.
And I don't think it's just you, Julia. I don't think the human brain is like wired in like that fashion. It's like, even in like, relationships you have with people, right? It's like, it's either this way or that way, or it's like, and more often than not, things are usually in the middle ground, or it's like things are not black and white in life in general, I feel like as well.
Right.
But, for whatever reason, that's how we approach things. And so the next question I want to ask you about, the question was advice you'd give to your younger self as it relates to trading in your personal life. You answered same advice for both cut losers quickly. And so, we know, it's pretty obvious, like with trading, I think we all know that. But in life, cutting losers quickly, I'm assuming you're talking about, relationships with people.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to explain?
Well, you know what? I will tell you, I have a really good taste because I don't think I've ever dated somebody who is a loser. I really don't. They're really nice people, but they really are. I'm really good at people. I'm so good at picking people. But sometimes they're just, I am, but sometimes something is just not right for you. And so it was just sort of a joke. But if it's true that if something is not right for you and if you have certain goals, then you have to unfortunately let that go. And the sooner the better, probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
I
No,
didn't mean it mean. I really have I've been so lucky to have such great people in my life. I really have. I mean, even if it didn't work out, they're still like really great people.
mhm. No, that's great. No, I mean, it resonated with me, and like not even just on a any type of relationship, friends, girlfriend, family, whatever. Um, I took that question, and it resonated with me because it's like, you keep certain people around, even though they might not be the best for you.
Yeah,
It's just a detriment to yourself. You're just hurting yourself in the end.
exactly. Like some people are really just negative. I mean, I will say I have had girlfriends that are just like super negative all the time, and there's always a problem, and it's just like it's drama, and that just it eats at my soul because I am like a guy, like I am a fixer, like I want to fix that problem, and that's not what they don't want to fix it. They just want to talk about it. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot talk about this anymore. I have told you how to solve this problem. If you don't take my advice, you are not allowed to call me anymore. Like, yeah, so that's, I know I'm like their male friend that's not a male. I don't know. I just like to tell them what to do. I'm like, this is how you fix it. Yeah.
So Julia, you joined Twitter only about a year ago, so which is impressive with the following that you've garnered in a year. So Twitter's been around for a while. Why did you just join then?
Um, because I thought Twitter was stupid. I thought it was just like I didn't understand it. I just thought it was like a way to get stalked because like I thought you just like say where you are, what you're doing, and I'm like nobody cares. Like I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it, and I just thought it was
Exactly.
mostly for advertisement.
Yeah.
No, but I was in a trading room with a bunch of really good traders, and then uh, I just I just decided that I wanted to not be so, I want to say codependent on them because it was like, I felt like I couldn't make any decisions for myself because I was always like second guessing myself because I knew, like I said, I monitor people and I knew this person's usually right or I knew this person's usually wrong. And like, I was getting all up in my head. And
Yeah.
so when I joined Twitter, it was I don't know. It's like a freedom to look at somebody's trades if you want to look at them or look at other people and learn from them, but not be beholden to having it in your face as you do it, and then having people like I don't know. For me, it was more about just having a way. And plus, I had just gotten to the point where I was like, oh, I'm able to like really be successful. I could actually help other people, and I wanted to stick it to no offense, but the market makers that had taken so much money from me. I really do. I want to use all my mistakes to help other people. I do.
That's
And because I think a little weirdly, maybe I can. But yeah.
that's very admirable. That's very admirable. That's why I teach. It's kind of a redemption thing for beating up retail traders for 20 years. So you know.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to pick your. I mean, I've got to listen to. I've listened to some of your podcasts. I've got to listen to the other ones because I would love to pick your brain about like how much like if you do you how I mean why are there people doing what you do and not robot? Like, why is it not automated?
Well, a lot of execution has been automated.
Okay.
Most of us are either retired, passed away, or hiding in outer Mongolia. But yeah, no, there's basically two large firms that control most of U.S. order flow now in equities, and that's Citadel and Virtue. And most of the brokerage firms have order routing agreements with them. So I've been looking at equities. I haven't traded equities for a while because I have a long story, but I just got back into trading equities around December, and it's like Disneyland now. It's family friendly, like Vegas. I mean, all the pirates are gone, so it's very luxurious order flow.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you watch volume as part of your trading
Uh,
process?
Structure and volume.
Okay,
Yeah,
structure.
a lot of structure and volume. And when I'm trading equities, I'm a tape reader, and I watch the level too because I
Yeah.
used to. I used to be use that like a chessboard. So, and I would position all the market makers at different places depending on what I needed to do.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So, Julia, how do you deal with the lack of human interaction that comes from working at home?
Ooh, good question.
Uh, I talk to my dogs a lot. I do. I do. Yeah, I talk to my dogs. My mom lives across the street, so I'll go over there and like just hang out a minute or two and then go back. And I mean, I do have certain people that I direct message with all day. Like I have this one guy who's an amazing trader, but he doesn't really post on Twitter, but he's on Twitter, and I trade oil with him. And then I have another person that I trade another couple people I trade gas with, and yeah, I guess I don't know. I get on the phone. I'm like I try not to watch CNBC because that just messes me up. Like I start to believe people because they sound knowledgeable, and then they're always wrong. So I don't. But it just messes me up. So I usually just watch trash television, and
What qualifies as trash television, like reality?
no, well, I wish I was that sophisticated. Did you know? Yeah, I just discovered this. So clearly I'm not like a trash aficionado, but did you know that Jerry Springer now is a judge? Like, did you know that he's like a judge, like Judge Judy, but he's Jerry Springer?
Really?
Shout out to Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just discovered this the other day. Yeah, so no,
Wow.
I would watch like I don't know, just like stupid trash. Like just
Jerry's great though. I mean, I always enjoyed Jerry Springer.
yeah,
Really?
it got a little like it's very formulaic and it got a little like over the top. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I had to stop watching it, but like it just makes me feel like at home. It's just like, oh, look at the Floridians on the television. Like I don't know. It makes
You're a
you feel.
Floridian. You're a Floridian. What are you talking about?
I know. Well, that it takes one to be one. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
no,
you're
I
northern Florida, so it's a little different where you're at.
yeah, yeah.
A little more country.
Um, the
See, Florida's ass backwards. Like the more north you go, the more like southern it gets.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're so right. You're
yeah.
so right. And I grew up here, and then I lived in New York for a while, and then I lived in Dallas and then Boston. Yeah, so yeah, it's different here than it is anywhere else for sure.
Yeah, yeah. How'd you like your times? New York, Dallas. What anything to say about those places?
I love New York, but I had a job actually at the World Trade Center.
Wow.
Right when yeah, I know. It was after the first bombing, but right before the second one, and it was like my first job out of school. Like I was all excited to be a New Yorker.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. My parents were like upset about it because they're like, oh, they tried to bomb. I'm like, but they couldn't bomb the building. They put a van and they couldn't do it, Mom. It's
Exactly.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No,
remember
so
that.
but I like New York, except for I just couldn't afford it when I lived there. I was very poor. I mean, I was like very poor. So, and I'm like a type of person that I don't spend more than I make, and so I was like, I was hurting. I was buying the pizza special at lunch, so I had something for dinner. Like, it was hard, but it was fun. And I love Boston. I love 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 Boston. Love Boston.
Cold.
It is cold, that's true. But it has seasons and it has really smart people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. True.
And Florida doesn't have seasons.
And that's really not cold. I mean,
Well, for you. He's in so if you didn't know, Julia, he's in Regina, Saskatchewan, where it gets regularly -30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and
That's,
I have my windows open right now.
yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
jeez.
It's nice here.
Yeah. It is. I enjoy I do miss the seasons, Julia. But I can't complain. You know what I mean? I'll pick my battles.
You sound like you're from New York originally.
Yeah, correct.
Uh-huh. How do
Yeah.
you like Florida? But do you really like it here?
I do, yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I love the weather. I love the
Yeah,
beach.
he's enjoying himself.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I like the vibe, you know. I like the South Florida vibe is good. See, I don't know if I could I could live where
Yeah.
you live, Julia, to be honest. I'm not a
No, I couldn't
country.
either.
Uh, um, but yeah, I like the whole vibe, you know. They got a lot of casinos, you know, so
Yeah, I like South Beach. I like that area. I mean, I like it's nicer down there. It's true. It's like a little, you're right. It's not like the same as it is here.
right.
That's
A
for
lot of
sure.
flavor. A lot of flavor. I like it. So, Julia, what's a commonly held belief in trading that you don't agree with?
Commonly held belief.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that I don't know. I usually agree with I agree partly with things and then not all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think, oh, okay. Well, I just don't think there's anything wrong with I just don't think there's anything wrong with trying to bottom catch as long as there's a plan. I think that there's no wrong way to do a trade as
Right.
long as you have a plan and that plan is something that's worked for you before. I don't see any problem at all with just doing things on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what kind of, give me a commonly held belief and I'll disagree with it.
I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily have. Okay, I guess one for me is like people say that you have to have rules, like
Okay.
for trading, which I get why people do say that. But my whole style is like having no style. Like I like to be flexible, and like whatever speaks to me is what I'm going to do. I,
Whoa,
I don't.
whoa. So are you profitable that way?
Am I profitable this way? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing this for 6 months, Julia. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I've been doing this for six
Okay.
months. I've been doing like the past 2 months. I have been.
Awesome.
But I'm not jumping. I'm not jumping the gun. I mean, I come from a poker background.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Like, wow, you know
Um,
what you're doing. Mhm.
yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't go that far yet. You know what I mean? Like slowly roll. Like I'm doing okay as a late, but like that's been my whole approach. Um, I don't know. You know, I guess I'll let you say to it. I know you. What do you think about what I said then?
Um, well, I think that is how I traded at first because I felt like I was a natural because yeah, like I would just buy things and they would go up and then I would sell them and they would go down and be like, this is easy. But then that only worked for me for just so long. And
Hmm.
then I started getting my ass handed to me because it's just I found it very difficult to be consistent that way. I could actually make a home run sometimes that way, but I could not. I couldn't be consistent, and I'm big now on even more than anything. I'm big on consistency. So I'm actually not trading as much as I used to because I will only enter things where I know there's a very high probability of me being correct.
I like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I have like an issue. I do not like to be incorrect. So I have to really work. I hate being wrong. I'm a delight. No, I I just need, the most important thing is knowing when, before you enter a trade, knowing when you're wrong. So if you, yeah, even if you're wrong about that, at least you said, well, if it gets here, I am wrong. And then then you can accept it. Because before I would just not accept it. I'd be like, nope, still right. I'm still
Really?
right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, because you get invested in things and you get a certain belief, and that's what I mean. So a rule that I have to have is knowing before I go into a trade when I will know that I am wrong.
Okay.
Right.
That
Right.
makes
Well,
sense.
and I guess to like clarify, maybe I didn't explain myself like in the best way. It's like it's not that I'm against, like not that I'm like against rules or things of that nature. I just really try and like there's certain people that have they only go long, they only go short, they only have certain setups they trade. I'd like it. Maybe my approach might be a harder one to get down pat, but I'm trying to be more like I'm trying to like literally just, hey, like what's the market going to give me today to come in? And maybe that's wrong, or maybe that's just me
Oh
trying to
no, I don't think
incorporate.
there's no wrong way. But yeah, no, I think that's really yeah. But
It's
that's interesting. I used to try and guess what it would do, and I used
mm,
to try and track myself ahead of time. Like I used to actually draw in the candles and
really
figure it out. And sometimes I'd be, yeah, and
wow.
sometimes I was impressive, but sometimes I was not. And then I began to rely on them, and it was very hard to know ahead of time whether or not I was right. But
Wow.
yeah,
Oh,
sometimes
interesting.
I don't know, like, there's that game on Twitter you can play about long short or whatever, or not on Twitter, but there's a game that came across Twitter. It was like I don't know, it was like a 1 day fad. I'm not sure, but it was like long short game. And I can just look at a string of candles and I can, in my head, usually know what the rest of them are going to look like approximately.
Oh,
Like it's something
interesting.
I got really good at when I was just learning. Or not good at, but I got consistent at being able to do it. I can do it probably 70% of the time. That's really
That
good.
is
But
that is really
I
good.
know, but when I'm wrong, I'm really wrong. So that's,
Okay.
Well, so Julia, so JJ's he's pretty much my mentor. I've only learned from him trading wise. So what do you think about what I just said, Jay? Was I
I think
what do you think about my maturation?
I think it's a part of your discovery process. You're trying to, I understand what you're saying. It's not like you're saying you don't have rules. You have rules. You have very, very, actually, folks, to clarify this, Ray has extremely, extremely disciplined risk management. So it's not like he's saying he doesn't have rules that way. He's just trying to say, the whole Bruce Lee be the water thing, where you're fluid and
Yes.
you
Yeah.
don't fight the market and you accept what it's going to do. I think and that's one of the it's a really nice part of the discovery process because like Julia said, when I started too, I would say it's going to do this, it's going to do this, and when it didn't, I just like I'm just waiting, right, and I'll
right.
react to what it
That's what you
does.
should.
It's just I'll just wait a little while longer, and it'll tell me. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like if this happens, then I will do
yeah,
this. And if this other thing happens, then I will do that. And that really is the most important thing, not knowing ahead of time.
yeah.
Because you get in your own head if you think you know what it's
Oh,
going to do. And that's why, yeah, I just don't like, now I usually will know if it does this, I'm going to do that. Like I'll have two different trades planned depending on what happens. Yeah.
yeah.
And one thing that's been really helping me, and I think it's a sound approach, and I'll get your guys' opinion on it, is before I go into a trade, I really try and make the argument for the other side of the
Mhm.
trade. And if I can't come up with that good of an argument, then I'm all right. I'm pulling the trigger. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, okay. All
That
right.
does
Yeah.
make sense. I
Oh,
get I get I get concerned with a lot of people when a lot of people start to agree with me. That's when I like, oh crap, this is not going to go good. Yeah.
yeah. That's true too. Especially I find too, especially when everyone's going short, and I can see they're all getting painted into a corner
What?
because
Because what? The masses are a bunch of donkeys? Is that what you guys are
no, I
saying?
mean
No.
it's because
Yeah, it is.
I used to
Come
trap
on, just be
shorts for a
honest.
living. I used to get paid to trap shorts. It was like ordering fries. That was just part of my job.
All right, Julia. So traders have different styles, different markets they trade. But what do you think are, the qualities or qualities that, all profitable traders possess?
I think all consistently profitable traders are disciplined. I think they are able to uh, take losses and not have it affect their ego. I
Hmm.
think that they're all able to be systematic and consistent, and not just consistently making money or whatever, but consistent in the way that they execute trades. And it's very, it can be very boring, but there are certain setups that I have different setups that I look for, like flags, or I have my own little flags thing going on. But I know approximately if something breaks out, is this likely to be successful. So I think that that most profitable traders probably think the same way, and they execute on the most profitable setups they have very regularly, and they don't just gamble. It's so tempting it's so fun to gamble. It's so fun, but it is gambling. It's not trading.
Hmm. Great. Okay, so Julia, you have a YouTube page, but it's blank. Uh,
I know.
what can we expect to see in the future if you ever get around to this?
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. No, well, okay, so I want to be able to help people. And I think there's other people out there that are probably better than I am at explaining price action and stuff like that. So I was going to just talk about how I plan to trade. I was going to talk about how I scale in and out. And I was just going to use real examples of my trades so that people can see how I do it. Whether I scale in or out, whether I buy all at once. I'll give some examples of that. And then I was going to talk about how I journal, because I started as like what everybody else does, where you talk about when you bought, whatever. And I was going to talk about what I journal and how it helps me, because I really do feel like you can take your worst characteristics as a trader. If you are consistently losing, then you somewhere in your brain know how to be consistently winning, because you really do have to just understand why you're losing. And as soon as you understand that, you can actually take advantage of your own psychoses. Like you can, okay, if I have the urge to do this, I just have to not do it, or I have to do it in a way, like if you have a compulsion that you must do something, but that something is really bad, you can still do it, but do it with like 2 shares, like just then
Exactly.
if you need to do something, then you go ahead and you do it, and you see how you can do it. I don't have any problem with somebody like just being themselves, but as soon as you understand that every time you do that, you're only profitable 10% of the time, that's bad. So that's I was going to talk about how I journal and how that led to how I trade now, because I know it's not normal. It's not like how other people do it. And I was going to talk about just really like anything that somebody would want to know to be successful. So I was going to fill up my channel with like educational videos. Not that I'm any great expert, but I really do feel like I've made so many mistakes that I can at least help people not make mistakes. That's all.
Hmm.
I don't want to do a trading service or anything like that. That's weird. I wouldn't do that. That's a lot of work.
That's what they say. The most successful people are the best at failing and the quickest at
Oh
failing.
yeah. Oh yeah. I'm good at failing. And yeah, I failed a lot. And yeah, I'll always, through everything, I always talk about, my whole life is like that. Like I got fired from my job before the next job, and then the next job I was like 356% of quota or something the first year. So I feel like getting fired, it just helps you, and making failing helps you, as long as you understand why you failed, and as long as you can redirect all your energy towards being positive.
Hmm. Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Couldn't agree more. JJ, any more, you got anything else for her?
No, I think no, it was just a real pleasure speaking with you. No, it's nice. It's really I really love talking to people who trade retail and did it all by themselves because I'm in admiration of retail traders because it takes a lot to sort of self-educate yourself in this industry and come up with something that works. It's not the easiest thing to do, and the usual lines about so many retail traders failing. So it's nice to see someone who's done it and done it from the ground up, and helps share that process. It's lovely to see.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. And so that concludes today's episode of Confessions of a Market Maker. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, please rate and review it for us. If you're interested in learning market profile, if you're keen on trading a liquid market, if you got a small account, come join JJ and I at microefutures.com. So, Julia, tell the listeners, where they can find you and anything else you'd like them to know.
Well, please follow me on Twitter at Cordova Trades, and also please sign up for my YouTube channel. And
Blank,
it's just like
blank YouTube channel.
What? I'm sorry. What?
No, I'm saying you're asking people to sign up for a blank YouTube channel.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
The nerve of her! Wow.
Maybe some dog videos while we wait.
This is like a Kickstarter. Like
okay.
Early people are going to get an advantage. Actually, I did think about that. I did think about making it private, and so when I release the video, I'll probably you know what it is? I got in my own head and I started to overproduce the videos, and then it got like it's true and not overproduced, but I'm like I was looking at other people's videos. I'm like they've got words on there. Like I don't know how to do that. I'm not good at that, and I just want to be helpful and talk. And so yeah, I got like in my own head about it. But anyway, it's going to be really great. It will.
Good,
Yeah.
Good. Well, we're looking forward to it, Julia.
We are.
Get moving on it. So you're saying you got videos in the stash already? You've already made some.
I do. I have one really. No, it's true. I have one really good video about how to plan a trade. But I wasn't wearing makeup when I recorded it. No, it's true. And I'm like, oh gosh. I mean, I look okay, but I'm like, I don't want that to be the first video. They're gonna think I'm like.
Oh God, I'm sure your Twitter admirers won't mind.
I'm sure it will not be a concern.
No, well, it was concerning for me. I just wanted the first one to be good. That's like what it is.
That's understandable, Julia. So Julia, thanks again for coming on with us. Really appreciate all your insights. Good personality, funny personality. For me and JJ, we wish your mother all the best. Prayers and wishes with her. And so for Julia, he's the proper villain. I'm his loyal henchman. You guys use stop so.
Have a great night.